The Dodgers have made a trade and are reportedly still interested in this free agent outfielder. That's coming up next here on Dodgers Dugout.
It's time for Dodger baseball.
That's strike three. Dodgers have won it all in 2020. Mookie Betts cranks him left field.
They're going to make big signings. They're going to make impact trades. I don't care how many times this team rips my heart out, I'll never stop loving the Los Angeles Dodgers. Think blue, bleed blue, and I'm out.
Hey, what's going on, Dodgers Nation? Doug McKain here. Friends call me DMAC, credentialed member of Dodgers Media. You can follow me on the X and Instagram at DMAC_LA. If you haven't yet, do me a huge favor. Hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. And if you really want to support the channel, you want to see us post even more Dodgers content, smash that like button. And as always, I want your takes down below in the comments section. Today's Dodgers Nation question of the day: how do you feel about the possibility of signing Teoscar Hernández? On a scale of 1 to 10, how badly do you want the Dodgers to sign him? What do you think they should do in the outfield? Let me know down below. And for all latest Dodgers news, head over to DodgersNation.com. So I appreciate you guys down below in the comment section talking about me and my voice. Someone said yesterday my voice needs Tommy John surgery. No, look, I got a little bit of the flu. And fortunately, I couldn't just have 3% of the flu now and have the 97% of the flu later starting 2034. I couldn't do that. Couldn't defer the flu to a later day. Okay, I'm just playing. No more Ohtani deferral jokes for a minute, but I'm doing better, and we got Dodgers news to report. We got stuff to get into. Dodgers news waits for no one. No days off here on the Dodgers Nation YouTube channel. But we heard a couple of minutes ago that the Dodgers did complete a trade to the Brewers for Bryan Hudson. Fabian Ardai tweet out, Dodgers are trading reliever Bryan Hudson to the Brewers. Sources confirmed to The Athletic Robert Murray was on it. Hudson was designated for assignment when the Dodgers made Yoshinobu Yamamoto's signing official. Fabian will go on to tweet, Dodgers announced the deal. Milwaukee will send left-handed pitcher Justin Chambers and a player to be named later in return. Chambers was the Brewers' 20th rounder last summer. So I've seen people out there on Twitter, who's the player to be named later? Is this Corbin Burns? Is this Willy Adames? Stop with that nonsense. Okay, I got a good laugh out of those when I saw those on Dodgers Twitter. But no, that is not going to be the case. And of course, as Fabian pointed out, Bryan Hudson, he was the guy that the Dodgers, they moved off of. They DFA'd him in the roster crunch situation to add Yoshinobu Yamamoto, and that was the case, and that was always going to be the direction they were going to go. You had some obvious DFA candidates. Bryan Hudson was the most obvious, and if you look at Hudson, he definitely has some intriguing potential. He's a big dude, 6'8". He's been a pitcher that has shown the ability to get a high ground ball rate at the minor league level. His issue has really been the walks and just the lack of overall effectiveness in his brief opportunities at the big league level. You saw last season the Dodgers in 8 2/3 innings in the show had a 7.27 ERA at the AAA level, and 55 2/3 innings of work had a 2.43 ERA, had a impressive 35.7% strikeout rate. The walk rate was high at 10.8%, but he has flashed some ability. Like I said, he can be effective. He can keep the ball on the ground, and he definitely has some potential. And don't look at that ERA and say, okay, the ERA almost 8. Oh, look at that. Oh, look, I guarantee you, speaking of scouts at the winter meeting, they're barely even factoring in ERA at this point when it comes to evaluating talent and assessing their potential, their ceiling, and their upside. So good luck with the Brewers, just not against the Dodgers, Mr. Bryan Hudson. Now, the biggest takeaway from this transaction, though, is the fact that the Dodgers, they were able to get a high upside play here in Justin Chambers. Now, the first thing that sticks out is he's extremely young. He's 18 years old. He was committed to Arizona State. He was the top pitching prospect in the state of Arizona. And the number one thing that stands out to me is that he was selected in the 20th round, but got 4th round money over slot. And that tells you that they weren't expecting him to sign, because if they did, they would have absolutely selected him higher in that draft. So that's definitely telling of his potential and the ceiling that he could have at the big league level. Now, there's not too much info on him. He's 6'3", 215 pounds. If you look at his mix, fastball, slider, changeup, this is from Perfect Game California, who tweeted a couple years ago, 3 perfect frames out of the pen for alpha lefty Justin Chambers, 2023 Basha High School. Nasty slider, 77 to 80, racked up multiple Ks, ran fastball up to 92 with curveball 68 and 70, flashing change at 80, Washington State commit. So, and look what I always say, there's no one random in the Dodgers organization. If you're wearing Dodger blue and you're in this organization, you are here for a reason, because a scout has identified some upside in you that they're trying to develop. So, congratulations to him. To be traded to the Dodgers could be the best thing to ever happen to him in his career. And like Andrew Friedman told me a few weeks ago, the whole system is designed for the Dodgers to have a bad farm system, right? The more you win, the lower your draft picks are. When you sign big free agents like the Shohei Ohtanis that have the qualifying offers, and you have less international bonus pool money, that is something that is going to impact your organization long term. So you have to identify players and develop them. And here's a good example of an opportunity that they have. Now, another thing we're going to get into on today's episode of Dodgers Dugout, by the way, let me know down below, is this trade, is Justin Chambers going to be something, nothing, or everything? I think it's a big lottery ticket, right? You just never know, but hopefully he develops into something at some point. But let me know down below. And our next topic, though, is from Jeff Passan. And it's a name we've heard for months now. It was first reported by Jorge Castillo at the very beginning of free agency that the Dodgers were interested in this free agent outfielder, and it is Teoscar Hernández. And Jeff Passan, he wrote in his latest piece, outfielder Teoscar Hernández, the best bat non-Bellinger division left on the market. The Red Sox and Dodgers continue to express interest, though the Angels could make sense. So could a return engagement in Seattle, though the Mariners' payroll constraints are choking what should have been a bountiful winter. So first and foremost, let's break out that Dodgers rumor meter. And for this rumor, I'm going to give us a 2.5 Dodger dogs. I think that people are talking. I don't think it's serious smoke just yet, but I think the Dodgers are there reminding his representatives that at the right price, they would absolutely consider him, because there's a lot of upside there and a lot of potential value. So we've talked about him. We broke him down as a player a few months ago, but let's do it again. Let's do the pros and cons of Teoscar Hernández. What does he bring to the table? Well, one, he can still produce above average offense because he has prodigious power. The guy can flat out rake. This is someone who can get you between 25 and 30 plus home runs. This is someone who has the potential and has proven in the past he can be a 130 weighted runs created plus player, where he's 30% above league average at the plate from a production standpoint. And how does he do that? Well, raw power. Last season, 26 home runs and 678 plate appearances, had a 105 weighted runs created plus, so his offense overall was down, but we've seen him in the past produce really, really nice power numbers. If you saw in 2022, he had a 130 weighted runs created plus with Toronto. He had 25 home runs in 2021 with Toronto. He had a 132 weighted runs created plus with 32 home runs. So this is someone who can absolutely mash and hits well against left-handed pitchers. And that's something that this Dodgers lineup absolutely needs. You also need to add another outfield bat. And he's primarily played in right field and as a DH occasionally, but you could throw him in left field and have him be your everyday left fielder and have Chris Taylor be that guy who is the Chris Army knife, who is your utility guy. Injuries are inevitable, unfortunately, and that's where his value comes into play. You could plug him in at left and center and right. You can throw him in the infield, essentially all throughout the diamond to take advantage of that. But Chris Taylor isn't your answer as your everyday left fielder. I think you need some stability at that position, and I think you need a proven commodity. Because if you look at last season, that's where the Dodgers really struggled offensively, was in left field. You did not get enough production at that position, and there's a lot of potential for tremendous value here. If you could get Teoscar Hernández in the $15 to $17 million range, a player who plays average to above average defense and has an above average bat with the potential to be a 130 to 140 weighted runs created plus 40% above average bat, that could be a steal at $15 to $17 million per year. I think the big holdup, though, is that he could possibly get a deal 4 years, 5 years, something in the 80 to maybe even $100 million range if a team wants to go crazy. I don't think they'll go that high on him. If you look at where he's at his age, he was 30 last season, so still in the prime of his career, but he's someone that with the limited number of impact bats that are available this free agency, he's in a good spot to secure himself a nice payday. Now, some other pros. He hits the ball hard. A 49.4% hard hit percentage. That was in the 90th percentile. And that is something that this Dodgers organization, they look at very closely. They covet players who hit the ball hard because they know that sooner or later, you're going to get some positive regression to the mean. That he's not a 105 weighted runs created plus player, that inside that bat, you can improve upon that, and he's a much better player than his statistics showed last season. And then 4, his defense has improved every single year in the show. With the M's, he played right field, he played some DH every now and then. He had a 1 defensive run saved, a 5 UZR, a 6.7 UZR, 150. Essentially, defensively, he was a top 7 right fielder in all of Major League Baseball. So he's someone that you could plug in the outfield and get average to above average defense. So if you look at the outfield right now, if you were plugging in Teoscar Hernández in the left, you got him in left, average to above average. James Outman, above average last year. Right field, you got Jason Hayward above average and Manuel Margot, who's been above average throughout his career. And I still think that Mookie Betts is going to see some time in right field as well. So that's a very formidable outfield when it comes to defense. And of course, you have Chris Taylor as well. So defensively, I think he's not going to be someone who's going to hurt you. He's at the very worst going to be average, and there's some potential for him to make some big plays out there and be an asset with the glove. Another positive, very fast. This is a player that knows how to run the bases. He's in the 82nd percentile in sprint speed, 28.6 feet per second. So if you look at what he does at an above average level, great raw power, has shown to be an above average bat throughout his career. He's fast. He's average to above average defensively. From a value perspective, because the year he had last year, having a down year, his value has gone down and he's not going to get the same contract that he had hoped. So you could get him at a little bit of a discounted rate if you're willing to spend that much. Now, where the Dodgers are at, around 282, 15 million under the Cohen tax. I mean, you might have to dip into that if you want a player of this caliber. But look, this is a team that's all in on winning the World Series, not just this year, but for the next few seasons. Now, what are the cons for Teoscar Hernández? Well, the biggest one is he strikes out a ton. He strikes out at an above average rate, and that's not something that this organization has leaned towards, right? I mean, you see a certain hitter with the Dodgers, right? Hitters that don't expand the strike zone, that put the ball in play, that don't strike out a ton. But look, you got Max Muncy. I mean, I think for the right player, this is a possible move that would make sense because of the potential that he has towards the bottom of that lineup to be a lightning rod and get you 25 plus home runs. So he struck out 31.3% of the time last year. That's basically almost a third of his ABs. And for his career, he has a 29.7 strikeout rate. So he is what he is at the plate as far as a guy who strikes out a lot, but that just kind of comes with his approach. And him striking out a lot also leads to him hitting home runs. So it really just comes at a cost, and that cost is him going down swinging at an above average rate. And then 2, he set a new career high as a swinging strike rate. So as far as the whiffs, that's what you need to improve upon. If you were to sign him, that's the area where if he gets back to his career averages when it comes to his whiff rate, he's going to produce at a higher rate than he did with the Mariners, and that would be a good high-value contract at that point. I'm very confident he would be someone who could give you a 125 weighted runs created plus or better season if he could cut down on that swing and miss. And then 3, the ISO power went down. It was 224 in 2022 and 2023, that number was down to 178. Isolated power is a great statistic that measures raw power, its slugging percentage minus batting average. And for him, you want to see that number above 200. But what do we see with JD Martinez? JD Martinez was a guy, his ISO power was down. He came to the Dodgers, and that number went through the roof last season. So, yeah, at the right price, I'm absolutely on board with the idea of Teoscar Hernandez. It just depends on the market for him. And I think he's going to be a guy who, yeah, it'd be great to win a World Series and be on this Dodgers team, but I think he's a guy that absolutely wants to try to get himself a pretty nice bag. But if he truly believes in himself, and I think one of the reasons why the Dodgers are in play, maybe he does sign a shorter-term deal and have a great year with the Dodgers, and he's still young enough to set himself up for another big payday. So if you look at where he's at in his career, he's 31. He turned 31 in October. Maybe hitting free agency again at 32. Does he sign a shorter-term deal? I mean, maybe. It's possible. A lot of the projections have him signing multi-year deals, so it's not expected at this point. Fangraphs has him projected at signing a 3-year, $45 million deal. So would the Dodgers be willing to do that? That's at $15 million per season, the number that a lot of people have projected for him, including myself, and it's going to be interesting to see what he's able to get. But yeah, maybe if you get him on a 1-year deal, it would be nice, but I wouldn't be against a multi-year deal for him either, because it's not easy to find above average defensive outfielders that also are above average bats that are also dangerous. He's a dangerous hitter. And can you imagine him hitting in this lineup where you're already worried about Mookie and Freddie and Ohtani? I just love saying that. Ohtani in the Dodgers lineup. It just makes me feel happy every single time Ohtani's playing baseball for the Dodgers this season, guys. He's just not getting old anytime soon. But I digress. And then you're pitching to Will Smith, and you're pitching to Max Muncy and James Outman and Gavin Lux and all these dynamic hitters. Teoscar Hernandez could have his best year with the Dodgers. So, like I said, if he's interested in signing with LA, this makes a ton of sense because you need another right-handed bat. Let me say it louder for those in the back of the room. You need a right-handed bat that can mash against lefties, and Teoscar Hernandez is absolutely someone who can do just that. So I like the idea. We've talked about it for a couple months now as a possibility. It's just going to come down to, is the price right? Are the Dodgers willing to invest in him, or do they want to try to cash in on some of those trade chips for a bat during the season? That's a possibility as well. My read on it is it kind of feels like the Dodgers want to use those trade chips for either an elite bullpen piece like a Clase. There's a rumor today that they checked in on Shane Bieber. So I definitely think they do want to cash on that, but maybe to address some depth for starting pitching and add another bullpen piece. If you look at Teoscar Hernandez in his career last season, he had an .817 OPS versus lefties, hit 7 home runs, was also good against righties too. .718 OPS with 19 home runs. Really want to improve the overall numbers there. But if you look at for his entire career against right-handed pitchers, Teoscar Hernandez has a .772 OPS, and against lefties, an .887 OPS with a .275 batting average. So, yeah, Teoscar Hernandez at the right price, absolutely sign me up. But let me know down below in the comment section, do you want to see the Dodgers sign Teoscar Hernandez? Think it would make a lot of sense at the right price. Give me Teoscar Hernandez. Like I said, we're not done shopping yet, guys. Let's get greedy. Like I said, our parents had a great year last year. We already opened those presents under the tree with the Ohtanis and the Yamamotos, but we need another right-handed hitter that can play in the outfield, or this offseason is not complete. But that's going to do it for this episode. My name is Doug McKain. You can follow me on the X and Instagram at DMac_LA. If you haven't yet, be sure to subscribe to the Dodgers Nation YouTube channel. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that notification bell. Hit that like button. And until next time, think blue, bleed blue, and I'm out.